this is a video for 4.8, Earth's Geography and Climate. So go ahead and check out the overview and set up your guided notes. So we have some precipitation patterns on Earth that we have discussed. Remember, the warm air is rising at the equator, so that's where we're going to have a lot of rainfall when that air cools. And that's where we have our global rainforests. We have the Amazon, we have the Congo, and we have Indonesia and Malaysia. Now, the dry air, recall that it is sinking at 30 degrees north and south latitude, and that's where we're going to find our major deserts. You do not have to know all of the deserts, but we have the Kalahari, the Atacama, the Chihuahua and Sonoran Desert. We have the Sahara Desert, the Gobi Desert, and the Australian Outback. You don't really have to know them, but one thing you should know is that Australia is the driest country by far. Okay, not the driest, the driest continent. You might think that Africa, the Sahara, but Australia, a lot of Australia is very dry. Now, we have countries that are drier than Australia, but Australia is, we have some green areas. They actually do have rainforests as well in Australia, but a lot of desert. Now, relative temperatures globally, of course, it is going to be warmer at the equator. It's getting the most direct sunlight. But why is London warmer than Newfoundland? London over in England, Newfoundland over in Canada. To answer that, we have to first say that warm water is expanding. So when the water gets warmer at the equator, some of that water at the surface is going to expand, and the ocean is 3 inches higher as a result. So that's going to cause a little imbalance, and the water is going to flow away. So you're going to be also having some wind currents that the water is going to be moving along on the surface, driven by winds. And the water is going to go from warmer areas to cooler areas. So that's going to also help in it flowing away from the equator. Now, eventually, just following in the Atlantic, our weather's, a lot of our Atlantic hurricanes originate over here. They blow this way, and this is exactly what I talked about in a previous video. But we have this warm or relatively warmer currents blowing from the eastern coast of the United States or North America, and it's going across the Atlantic Ocean and hitting the western part of Ireland and United Kingdom. So that is causing the temperature to be slightly warmer in Europe as well, because it's getting these warmer breezes from the ocean. And then what happens is the water, as it flows north, it's going to cool, sink, and it's going to continue on. But we also will have some of this water will cool and then flow south as well, and it will kind of cycle around this way. We also will have some melting snow ice, some melting glacial ice from Greenland, from the northern Canada area, and it's going to be flowing down here as well. This is going to be colder water, and it's also going to be lower salinity, meaning the salt content is going to be lower because it is diluted. Now, you should know that water has a very high specific heat. It can absorb a lot of energy before it changes in temperature. And this is one of the reasons why when those areas around a ocean is going to be much warmer. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But first, we're going to do the rain shadow effect. It is where you're going to have some sort of physical barrier. You have a windward side where the rising air is cooling and condensing. But it can't get over this mountain. Now you will have a leeward side where the dry air will advance, and typically on the other side of rain shadow effect will be a desert. So you'll have a wet area and a dry area. Now I think about it like this: throwing a wet sponge at a wall, all of that water is going to come out of the sponge when it hits the wall. That's kind of what happens. These clouds are bashing into this mountain. Not really, but figuratively speaking, bashing into the mountain, and all the water is falling out. The warm air is advancing, or the dry air is advancing over, and that is contributing to the desert. Now, some common rain shadow desert examples. We have the Great Basin Desert in the United States. The Sierra Nevadas and the Rocky Mountains are blocking any flow of moisture into this area. There are actually no rivers that flow into this area either. There's actually no rivers that flow out. I told you in the last video. This watershed, it all evaporates. We have the Gobi Desert in China. It is blocked water from the Indian Ocean. This is India right here. These are the Himalayas. That rain is blocked by the Himalayas. The Gobi Desert is very dry. The Atacama Desert is the driest desert on the planet. And technically, Antarctica is the driest desert on the planet. But the Atacama is the driest, actual desert. Just a little bit of trivia there. The Atacama, the Andes Mountains are blocking the rain from passing over, and the Atacama is dry as a result. Madagascar, you have an area that is green. There's a mountain range here. I do not know the name of it, but you have an area of Madagascar that is drier. So we also have some variations in temperature, and this is what was happening, for example, why London might be a little bit warmer. You're going to have the air blowing over, and the air is going to regulate, the air from the ocean is going to regulate the temperature. The ocean will stay relatively, stable in temperature throughout, each season. Obviously, it'll get warmer in the summer and cooler in the winter, but it will have a stabling effect. So over time, there will not be that many temperature variations. Obviously, it's going to, there might be cold spells, there might be flow, changes in the jet stream, for example. But in inland areas like in Nebraska, in Minnesota, in North Dakota, there could be days when it's 80 degrees and the next day it's 30 degrees. There is no ocean to regulate that temperature, so the temperatures will fluctuate up and down. What I would like you to do is respond to this check for understanding by completing practice problem set 4.8. I hope that this video was informative. I thank you for your attention, and I will see you soon.